Hi everyone, Comic Book Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Star Wars Episode 4 Original Release Film Review. Now as you know, back in 1977, before Episode 4 was originally known as Episode 4, and before the prequels were planned in 1977, kids who grew up into the 70s had Star Wars as their first real experience. And keep in mind that, back in May the 25th, 1977, people were blown away by the original film release of Star Wars. And keep in mind that, back in 1997, you had George Lucas release a special edition, fixing up what he felt was wrong, what he felt he could have done better, and all that. And keep in mind, in 2006, you had these limited edition DVDs that had the original release as well as the special edition. So I decided to kind of review each of the original films before the kind of whole special edition. And I think my thoughts on the original ones are that, the first one for episode 4 is okay-ish. And keep in mind that, a lot of changes were made. Because, one, in the Tatooine desert, and instead of basically Imperial shuttles coming down, multiple stormtroopers walking around, you just kind of ran a few stormtroopers. But I think what made the extended version work was that, the Empire would look for the stolen plans, so there would be more resources out there to do a bit more scouting. And keep in mind that, when you kind of have Mos Eisley, you kind of see some glimpses of it, but I think what the extended one gets right at is showing you that, these other robots, cities, poor areas, and kind of people walking around. And and I think that's the thing about Mos Eisley. It's meant to be a big sort of market city-like area, so there should be more around. So obviously, I think George Lucas understood what he had to work with. And when you do have Han Solo confronting Greedo, I can see where they had to go with the whole Han Solo shot first thing, because I think if you're building up your characters to be a hero, or they're gonna be a protagonist, you don't want them to go around killing people, even if it was necessary. This is why I hated Legend of Korra Season 3's final, because it just showed Team Korra being cold-blooded killers. And I think it's interesting how, the film version of the original release didn't use Jabba the Hutt. And keep in mind, originally there was a human actor going to play a human version of Jabba the Hutt, but that got cut, but instead was reworked into being Jabba the Hutt. So it kind of makes sense why when Han Solo talks to the human Jabba, saying you're a wonderful human being, I like how he says it to the sort of to the special edition version, because it does sound like he's saying it as a compliment and sounding like a bit of a tongue-in-cheek. And keep in mind that, originally with the sort of words coming out into the opening, it didn't had episode 4, so it makes sense that some things would have to get changed. And also, before we know about the prequels, we never really knew what the Clone Wars were. So keep in mind that, the Marvel Comics, as well as Dark Horse, gave their own interpretations. And keep in mind that, originally it was meant to be a bit different. People were suggested to be cloned. People were extremely miserable. And it kind of suggests that a lot of things went bad. But I kind of like how, as soon as the Clone Wars did get revealed, you actually do see Dark Horse as well as Lucas and that working it into the original timeline. So it kind of makes sense they had to kind of not retcon too much. And keep in mind that, yeah, in the Marvel comics, Jabba the Hutt was meant to have a bit of a different design. And keep in mind that Boba Fett wasn't used until episode 5. So obviously, yeah, this was gonna the extended edition. What I mean is the special edition put Boba Fett in to kind of show him being like one of these extra muscles to take on Han Solo in case of future problems. And I kind of like how, yeah, before even the prequels, it seems to suggest that Darth Vader, as well as Luke's father, were intended to be two different characters. And that, yeah, the Jedi Order might have been a little different. And I think this is why I think Dark Horse was necessary for the original timeline, given these other stories, other interpretations, other ideas on what could and might have been. I think the original Star Wars is okay, but I kind of see where George Lucas had to make necessary changes, because if you feel like your old work wasn't as good, and I think if people put too much rose-colored glasses onto the original, then yeah, sometimes you want to do better with your work. You want to improve. You want to go bigger. You want to show your audience you are learning from your mistakes. You want to do something new, fresh, and fix over what you think got wrong and what you're trying to fix with the prequels and other stuff. So I think this one definitely deserves thumbs in the middle. As long as you see the extended edition, you can kind of see where some changes had to be made. Some decisions had to be necessary, because sometimes going back on your old work shows that you're improving a lot over what you think got wrong. So, Comic Viewer here, signing out.